Good evening and welcome to Grand Valley State University's virtual town hall for our parents. We're so glad you are able to join us this evening. My name is Jesse Bernal and I'm Vice President for Inclusion, Equity, and Presidential Initiatives, and I'll be helping to moderate our time together. This town hall is part of a series of town halls President Mantella is hosting for all our campus stakeholders, including your students who we talked to both last week and also earlier this week. As you can imagine, we received many questions during the registration process, and we will be answering as many as we can in some opening comments, as well as throughout our time together. For those of you, for those questions we do not get to, or those that were really specific to individual circumstances, we will provide individual responses to emails that you've sent us, and also a follow-up email to the entire participant list who's here tonight, as well as all of our parents, guardians, and other supporters. That email will also contain a recording of this session. To orient you a bit to Zoom as we get started, at the bottom of your screen, you will see two options. There's a Q&A box where you are encouraged to ask additional questions. There's also an open chat box where you can submit comments, ask for clarification, or provide additional information to the panelists. We'll be responding to some questions live and others through typed responses that everyone has access to, again, in both of these places, that Q&A box and the chat box. I'd like to now introduce our university leadership, who you will now see on the screen. Dr. Greg Samuel, who is our Vice President for Finance and Administration and Treasurer to the Board of Trustees. Matt McLogan, our Vice President for University Relations and Secretary to the Board of Trustees. Lynn Blue, who is known on campus and by your students as Chick, our Vice President for Enrollment Development. Our Vice President for University Development, Karen Loth. Dr. Lauren Rollman, our Vice Provost and Dean of Students. Representatives from the Provost's Office, Associate Vice Presidents for Academic Affairs, Professors Chris Pluff and Ellen Schindel. Our Associate Vice President for Financial Aid and Scholarships, Michelle Rhodes. And finally, our Associate Vice President and Director of Admissions, Jody Chushinsky. And I'd also like to finally introduce and turn it over to our President, President Philomena Mantella.
Good evening, Laker families. It's great to be with you tonight, and thank you for being here and being a part of our community. We know how challenging a time it's been. The world has shifted the way we work and learn. And we have had 9 out of every 10 students worldwide who are studying remotely, and that includes our Lakers. And as it said in the video, we so miss their energy on campus, and we too are dealing with the separation in the ways that we usually get to communicate and show our care and convey our relationships. But Lakers and this community is built on relationships, and it's built on students first in our thinking. And so we are working very hard, very proud of our faculty and staff for leading the conversion to remote learning and continuing to be creative and innovative as they too learn how to deliver their academic programs in new ways. This community has really pulled together and remains strong, and we remain here virtually in every area. We are open and ready to serve students and parents and supporters in any way that we can. We also know that this is a time where we're all experiencing the circumstances very differently. And we are trying, and you'll hear this many times today, to be in touch with you. So if your student has not connected around things they're questioning on a one-to-one level, please, please have them do that. We also have a project underway in which we are calling every student who's in attendance at Grand Valley in order to just do one more reach out to be sure we know what's going on with you. Our capacity to support what is critically important to both of us is enabled by if we know what you have going on in your lives. So don't leave that a mystery. Be sure your sons, your daughters, your children are all reaching out to us on what they need. And probably most important, be taking care of yourself during this period, following the guidance that's coming out of the CDC and out of the governor's office as we work through this public health crisis and get back to a place where we are reopened and in full force again in Michigan and at Grand Valley State University. I thought I would begin by, first of all, telling you how we think about making decisions here at the university so that you have a framework and a context for the way we're navigating the current situation. And then also to review some of the decisions we've made to be sure I'm level setting through the course of this conversation. I have 3 sons, 2 of which are in Boston, 1 is in New York. I worry about them every day. I miss them every day. I can remember when they were in college and I would want to know what was going on in their lives at a little more level of detail than they were ready to provide to me at that point. That information may not be flowing as freely as you would like it. So we're going to start with how we're making decisions and also the decisions we've made to be sure you are getting the information that you need. And then we will get into the questions and answers. So first of all, how we're making decisions. And I referenced it in my opening comment, which is students are at the heart of our concern. We want to be sure that we are acting against our values as a student-centered, relationship-focused, liberal education institution. And so every decision we've had to face, whether it's to step down the face-to-face activities on our campus, or whether it's to do quick refunds and fair refunds on the proration of housing, food, and parking unused. We've done that. We've made the decisions we've made because it's the right thing to do and it's consistent with our values. We're also trying to use the best of the information to make good decisions and make speedy decisions. And I have to tell you, that's a real challenge because, as you know, if you're watching the news, everything doesn't sort of point the same direction. And it certainly doesn't when we think about our regional differences. So we've taken the position as a university that we want to share with you whatever we know, as incomplete as it might be, and with all the caveats that things can change, because we trust that you understand this is a dynamic situation. And we think it's more important to be as transparent as we can with the information we have, and then we ride through this dynamic situation together. So the first issue that I want to be sure you know is that we have stepped down our residence community to less than 200 students who are on campus today who need to be here for a variety of reasons. We have essential support. We're keeping our facilities up and clean and ready to go and ready to fully reopen. And we are fortunate to be in West Michigan where the curve is beginning to flatten and we're managing the healthcare needs quite well against a very difficult situation and backdrop. We have, as I said, all of our services open. Online advising is happening for the spring and summer terms now. If your son, daughter, student has not made their appointment for advising, please urge them to do so. If there's one message I could leave you with today, it would be not to allow the current situation to interrupt the learning of your student. It is going to be even more important that the work they're doing gets completed, accomplished, and they're well positioned for what is going to be a tough economy for a while. So we want to do everything to be sure that they move through uninterrupted, and good advising is a piece of that. On the financial side, we've also worked very hard to secure hardship funds, either by moving resources in the university into student support, by cultivating new resources, calling for our friends and alumni and faculty and staff where they can to donate to a fund around hardship, And then we recently received some federal allocations, which we'll talk about later on, that can be used for hardship funding. We are in a situation where we want to use those dollars where the need is greatest. The only way we know where the needs are is if you tell us. Because as you know, we can't look back at last year and see a reflection of the current situation. So please reach out to financial aid. There are hardship funds there and available. For students who missed work, we were able to move those resources from our departments who hold those resources into grants for our students. And so if students had concerns and hardship from missing work and they were on our payrolls at GVSU, we've been attending to that. I also want to ask our Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, Ellen Shendell, to review the academic decisions that we've made to be sure that we have positioned ourselves to be flexible at a time students are adjusting to new conditions and new modalities. So Ellen?
Thank you, President Mandela, and good evening, everybody. As soon as we cleared campus and went to remote learning, the faculty and administration worked together to put some new academic policies into place for the rest of this term. We really care about what our students are facing right now, and we want them to be successful and to continue to persist in their educations. So here, I just want to outline a few of the policies so that you can communicate them to your students and encourage them to take advantage of them. One policy that we made is that students have until mid-May, well after grades come out for the winter semester, to determine if they'd like to take their class pass-fail. We call it credit, no credit, but it basically replaces a letter grade with passing or failing. This is a good option if a student is concerned about their GPA. And students will have an opportunity to get their letter grade in a class and then make a decision about whether to go pass-fail. So that's one accommodation we've made. Another is that students who have been on academic probation or who have been in jeopardy of dismissal, we're suspending any of those statuses for this semester. Everyone is protected from being dismissed or being put on probation at this point. A number of students and parents have asked about internship and co-op requirements, clinical placements, field work. All of those had to stop. In many cases, students had completed enough hours and demonstrated competencies enough that we could just grant them credit without finishing out the term. And in other cases, students need to take an incomplete to make up those hours later and to demonstrate their competencies to move forward in their programs. All of these policies are great things for you to encourage your student to talk about one-to-one with an advisor. If they call the advising centers in their colleges, the advisors can walk them through how to take advantage of these policies and what's going to work best for them. And if you have a graduate student attending Grand Valley, the best thing they can do is to reach out to their academic advisor as well. The graduate programs have specific requirements, specific needs, and the best way for them forward is to talk with a faculty member or an academic advisor.
I do want to turn to our Vice President for Finance and Administration to talk a little bit about some of the financial policies and also in general about the financial health of the university. We are in a fortunate position, and I give all the credit to the folks at Grand Valley who have been here much longer than I have, and also my predecessors. And I'll turn over to Greg Sanyel, who can review that for us.
Thank you, President Mandela, and good evening, everybody. The university is in very sound financial condition. Despite the refund of the revenue that had already been collected for dining and housing and for parking, the university, through its budgeting process through the year, had contingencies in the budget and also strong reserves that will enable us to absorb those refunds without any impact to the liquidity of the university. There's really two ways to think about the financial situation. There's the very near term, which is a liquidity issue, and there is no concerns whatsoever for the university. And then as you look to the medium or the longer term, that is where, as we look to the fall semester, with this tremendous disruption that COVID-19 has created with respect to the registration process and the recruiting process for the fall, So what we are doing is we have slowed down our budgeting process. Normally we would be complete by now for the next fiscal year. However, we've slowed that down until we can get a better handle on what the numbers will look like for the fall. And so with that, that's enabled us to create a lot more decision space for us moving forward. And similarly, with those strong reserves, that has enabled us to really leverage that to best position the university moving forward. As far as federal stimulus dollars for the university, there was $18 million that will become available. The first $9 million that the president talked about will be used for hardship. The remaining $9 million, we're still awaiting guidance from the Department of Education on how we can apply that. So the combination of the federal stimulus dollars, the strong reserves, and the contingency has really positioned the university quite well to be ready to have the best experience and opportunity for all students in the short term and in the longer term when we're ready to reopen and resume face-to-face.
Great, thank you. And if some of our parents or supporters are waiting for those refunds, could you just talk about the status of the refunds?
Sure thing. We issued 15,000 refunds, and the way that worked was, and it broke down, about 8,000 of those refunds were direct deposit refunds, and about 7,000 of those refunds were a paper check. And the way that worked was, for a student that had a bank account registered within Banner, the refund went direct to that bank account, to the bank account that was associated with that individual student. If there was no bank account, the refund was issued as a check and was mailed to the address that was on file for the student. So with the paper checks, there are reports of extremely delayed mail service within Michigan. But if anybody has any question about the receipt of their refund through either method, I would encourage you to reach out to our student accounts office, and they can track down an individual case. I would also like to point out that if a student had a balance on their account, the refund first went to pay for that balance.
Thank you very much. So with that, we tried to cover a number of things that were on your mind and showed up in the pre-registration questions in our opening remarks, but we'll turn it over for more Q&A in real time, and the ones, Jesse, we didn't hit in our remarks.
Sure. So, and I also want to let our attendees know, you'll see Elizabeth Doyle, one of our colleagues, is including a lot of links and contact information in the chat box. Feel free, these are anything that people are referencing. Vice President Sanyal just referenced student accounts. You see that contact information in the chat box. You are able to save these chats as well. So you can either copy and paste this information for use later, or save the chat at the end of this so that you can follow up with any office or website. I'm just going to ask this question since it's come up a few times from parents already, and something that wasn't addressed in the opening comments. Our parents with graduating seniors want to know what's happening with commencement.
So we're very excited that we released early this week a notice around commencement. And we have determined that we, first of all, want to very much celebrate our graduating seniors along with you in the traditional ways. So we're doubling down on our celebration for these students who, for which their last term was interrupted. And we are holding on the day of graduation, or that would have been the day of graduation, which is April 24th. Is that correct? Do I have my date correct?
Yes,
Good.
that's correct.
At 7 p.m. Virtual celebration. And then we have selected the weekend of October 10th. And again, assuming that we are able to fully put on a commencement for our university community here, we'll do it in the way we traditionally do at the Van Andel Arena, in full style and full gowns and caps and gowns. And also, we'll offer the December ceremony if students can't make the October date. So there's sort of three options. You can do two of the three or one if you so choose. And we're excited to really celebrate with you. Please be sure that those students that are completing their requirements do go through the regular filing for graduation process, so we know what's going on with them and they are completing, and that is what catalyzes them receiving their diploma. And those will be available, as will caps and gowns, for both activities here in October and December, or if you want to do pictures and celebrations in your home.
President Mantelis, you've talked, and you and Vice President Samuel talked about the healthy financial state the university is. Some of our parents are curious about, given the economic situation and some of the financial losses to the university, is the university considering tuition increases or increases in housing and food costs in the future? And a similar, sort of a tangential question, some parents are in the chat box are noting that, you know, their students didn't sign up for online classes. They expected a full experience. Is the university considering greater refunds than what has already been refunded, given that some of the services may be different now?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer the last question first. We have done what many institutions have not, which is given the full proration of housing, food, parking. We have also distributed to students that need hardship funds, and we have assured our students that don't have devices leave our campus with devices. So if you look at the expenses, both for the conversion into online learning and the support that we've offered, we probably have expended far more than we would in any traditional term. So we are not contemplating further tuition increases. Further tuition refunds for the current term. We understand that we're all in this situation not by choice, but we also want to be in a position to be able to respond and react, and not refund on one hand and then roll into higher costs on the other. So we think this is a fair position. And again, we are working extremely hard to be sure that as much of the experience as we can deliver virtually, from co-curricular life to services being open to full curriculum being available to the student, are available so that they get their money's worth on tuition. In terms of how we'll approach the next year, it is also not our intention to put on the backs of families the kinds of increased costs at this time that would be higher than any traditional year. So we will create a constraint for ourselves, you know, not to raise tuition and fees, room and board beyond our average, which has been among the lowest in the state. We're in the bottom third of the costs. Our tuition rate increases and room and board have been at the bottom. And so we will continue to press ourselves down, even as we absorb the financial shock, which there will be. We are in a good position to absorb it, and we want to reassure you that we will be back in full force, but it's not going to be easy. And we will commit to not rolling into exorbitant increases and putting it on your backs, because it's not an easy time for our families as well. So I would invite anyone else that wants to add to my comments to please do so.
I would just add that with regards to our housing and dining rates, those rates for the upcoming year have already been approved and published. They were approved at our January Board of Trustees meeting. And like President Mantella said, our housing and dining rates are among the lowest of public universities in the state of Michigan. And the increase was on the order of, I believe, like 1.2% or something. So very reasonable. And again, those have already been approved, and I would not expect us to revisit that moving forward.
Thank you, Greg, for reminding me of that. Appreciate it.
Some of our parents are hearing from their students that they're having some difficulty reaching some of our student service units, as well as reaching some of their faculty. In these situations, how do you advise our parents to advise their students?
Yeah, you know, any one of us on this call, and I'm sure the chat box will fill with email options, would be happy to respond. I think, you know, like any other time, if they are trying to reach an academic department and they can't reach them, they should go to the dean in that college. You know, we are working, people are dealing with sometimes personal situations, you know, homeschooling their younger children. I'm sure there is an occasion where there is going to be difficulty making that connection, but we have a large and robust academic community that is ready to serve and support you. So we'll be sure, if they're not getting response, that they are able to get one expeditiously as soon as we're aware that that's occurring. I would ask Ellen Shandell or Chris Pluff if you want to add any other guidance there.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, yes, all of our service areas, including the Career Center, advising centers, all have posted virtual hours and staff available to reach and work with your students remotely. So if there are any issues with that, you should, as President Mantella indicated, you know, talk to, if you don't know who it is, you can contact our office, the provost office. We can direct you to the right place to go. But contact the dean of that college or the unit head of the unit that you're trying to reach out to if you're not getting the response that you think you need to get.
And I just wanted to put in a brief plug that finals week is coming up, and our tutoring center and writing center and library, the extra staff during finals week to help students with those final projects, papers, and tests. So it's a good time to encourage your student to reach out to those online tutoring services as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So a number of students, a number of our parents, their students still have belongings on campus. They're curious about the timeline for decision making on when students would be able to return to campus to retrieve their belongings, as well as the safety measures the university is planning for when that process does begin.
Dean Roman, would you like to respond to that, please?
Sure, and good evening, Laker families. Two things that we're trying to make sure we honor. First of all, the governor's order restricts travel through the end of the month, through the end of April. So we're both bound and committed to honoring that order. So there's no travel before that date for sure. The second thing we're trying to make sure we do is follow really good public health guidance about social distancing. So there's no need to travel before the end of the month. We will probably in the next week send instructions, however, about how you can come retrieve your things after the governor's order is lifted. We'll make sure we do so in a way that is safe for all those who come to retrieve those things. And in the meantime, I can assure you that your belongings are safe. We've locked the doors. We're checking on them to make sure that everything's okay. And we'll have instructions out in the next a week or so.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a number of parents, again, who have students who are graduating in April, who have concerns about the economy that they'll be entering. Our parents are curious about the support the university will be offering for students after graduation as they continue to look for careers and their career path long term.
Great, thank you. I mean, this is an area that we are also doubling down on. I can tell you I have the Director of Career Services on my speed dial now, and we speak regularly as he's reaching out to all the employers, understanding the landscape, understanding those that are actually pressing forward, and being sure that Lakers are on the top of that list. So it's very much on our minds. And I will turn back to Dean Roman, who I'm sure can add much more context there.
Great, thanks President Mantell. Indeed, the Career Center staff is calling employers. They're not waiting to hear from employers, they're making those calls, as the President just said, to try to understand the landscape, their forecasts, and how we can be of service to employers so that we can match opportunities for our students. The other thing that the Career Center staff is doing is if your student had an appointment at the Career Center, we hope they did in the fall, we're calling those students. If your student has not heard from the Career Center already, they will, to just understand how they're feeling about things, what the career picture looks like, and to try to provide any advice and guidance that we can. We're also planning right now. Grand Valley initiated a virtual career fair for teachers that will occur, I think the date is May 9th. Please check the website for that information, and trying to find more opportunities like that where we can create virtual opportunities for students and employers to connect. Handshake, which is the software and the platform we use to match students with jobs, is live. The Career Center website has lots of resources, and we encourage you to call. We are open. We will be open all summer, and we will be open after commencement year-round so that we can try to be helpful.
I just want to add that your relationship, your children's relationship, does not stop when they graduate. So We service our alumni in the same way that Dean Roman outlined servicing our students, so they always will have an open door at Grand Valley. We have what we call the Laker Lifetime Learning Commitment, and that means also as they think about continuing their education and working in adding skills in areas that are moving forward in our knowledge economy, the opportunity to learn at Grand Valley is here for them. And in fact, there are some resources on account for them. We made a commitment far before the coronavirus hit us that Lakers would have resources to continue their education, whether it be a master's degree, a badge, a certificate. So if they find that they want to keep moving on their education, it's a very good and real option for them. We can also support them in some of the basics. How do they apply for that on account? What loans are available? Can they get grants? We have our full range of graduate assistantships. So please consider that as well as you're thinking about options around navigating this period.
Thank you, President Mantella. So some of our parents, you talked about how you make decisions and how the university is making decisions. They're curious about if there's any sense on timeline for a decision that will be made as to whether or not we'll return to in-person learning in the summer as well as the fall. And whenever we return to in-person learning, what are the safety measures that the university is planning to ensure that we're mitigating risk and the spread of the virus?
So our total mindset around planning is we're working to mitigate harm and working for the best possible summer and fall that we can have in full force. But we're also planning for the worst. So we're doing both at one time. And we're trying to create a time frame in which we can gather the most information, but also make our decisions in a way that is timely for you. So by the end of this term, which as Dr. Shandell just reminded us that we're in finals, so we're nearing the term's end in a week to 10 days, we'll be making the decision for summer, whether we'll be fully online or whether we'll be able to do all or some face-to-face instruction. Right now, we're planning to be fully here and ready to go for the fall term, but we will contingency plan should we have to have any other, engagement or ramp up with our students. So I will keep you posted as we know, but right now our plans as of today is to make the call on summer at the end of this term within a 10-day period and to be fully back in the fall. And so I'd like to turn to Vice President Sanyal again, who can give us some insight on how we're readying for health conditions, which may have new requirements surrounding them.
Thank you, President Mantella. We will be ready from a facility standpoint, depending on guidance from the CDC and from the governor's office with regards to social distancing and those sort of requirements. In addition, we're in the process of procuring, extra hand sanitizers, which we'll deploy to some of the more public areas. We already have very high standards for cleanliness at the university, and we will double down on that when we return, when the campus begins to ramp back up again in preparation for face-to-face. There's a number of things also that we can do with many of our buildings with regards to the air exchangers. We can cycle air more quickly, things like that above what the standards, the normal standards are in respect to this. So we will be ready to make sure that our buildings and our facilities are as safe and as clean as possible when we're ready to be back on campus.
Thank you. So President Mantella, a follow-up question that a couple of parents have regarding the campus reopening. If they or their student chooses not to come back to campus because they have health conditions that are concerning, will there be an opportunity for online learning to continue for their students so they can remain on track and progress to degree?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. We will absolutely be in a position to offer online learning as an option. We've obviously been fully face-to-face and now we've been fully online. So we'll be more capable of blending those to meet individual circumstances and working with advisors in the schools. If that's a term-long situation. Let us know that, let us understand that, let us plan the best course schedule with you based on how you're anticipating taking on board the academic experience in the next year, but that will most definitely be available.
Great, thank you. So a number of our parents are concerned about scholarship requirements for renewals of scholarships, given some of the changes in their students' grades this semester. Is the financial aid office considering some relaxing of the requirements, or what should parents do if they're concerned about renewals for their student scholarships?
So the short answer to that is yes, we have relaxed the requirements, and I'll turn to Michelle Rhodes to give you an overview.
Thank you, President Mantella. And yeah, if your students were receiving any type of a merit scholarship, it was about a week or week and a half ago where we sent them an email letting them know that we had relaxed those requirements. We know they're processing a lot right now and trying to just remain in their courses and do as best as they can, and sorting through if they should take a credit, no credit class, and sorting through a variety of other things. So we really wanted to make it as simple as possible. Really, any merit-based scholarship that is awarded by Grand Valley, it will be able to be renewed as long as the student is making progress towards their degree. So that's really the main thing we're looking at. If there was any GPA requirements overall, we no longer will be looking or taking any of those into account for any of the merit scholarships. And as always, there are many individual situations that might occur because of this. So if you or your student have any specific questions, you may gladly reach out to us, and we will specifically look at their account and let you know how that might impact them individually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. We have a few parents who also have prospective students who are curious about Grand Valley as their future home and education environment, and also some parents who have students that are planning to arrive in the fall. So they're curious about updates on orientation for incoming students, as well as whether or not in the future we'll have changes to admissions requirements like other universities are currently considering.
Yeah, so we're very mindful of the situation in our K through 12 schools and ready with the same kinds of flexibility. I will just remind you that this is the absolute best university for those younger children to enjoy over the next several years. And I'll turn it over to Jody Shasinski, our VP and Director of Admissions.
Thank you. And good evening to everyone. Couple questions there. First of all, in terms of admissions requirements, we understand that high school juniors right now are faced with multiple dilemmas. First of all, we're seeing grading changed at the high school level. And so many questions, again, related to credit, no credit courses at the high school level. And we will accept the grading policies that the high schools have put in place for their current online curriculums as well. So students, as long as you're receiving credit for your courses, there really is nothing to worry about. We will accept the cumulative grade point average that your school provides on a transcript. In terms of what we're doing in the future, we again understand the situation that you're in, especially high school juniors. And so we have looked at offering a test optional policy available to students. You will see information on our website that will detail that information. As you look at that and have questions, I strongly encourage you to contact the admissions office. The entire staff is available. We are taking virtual appointments and would be happy to talk about the opportunities. Part of it is making sure that your student knows that they can apply for college as early as the fall. We do understand that there may be testing options available later this summer or perhaps this fall, but in order not to delay the application process, this will give the students a chance to get their materials into us and allow us to make an admissions decision, and of course accept any updated materials later on.
Thank you.
So a very specific question from, now this is 3 parents who are asking if the university has received any positive cases of COVID-19 that have impacted our community, or if we were to receive those positive cases, how would we respond as a university?
So I'll begin and I'll say not to our knowledge. And, this is something we're monitoring every day. Our students have, even though they've been distanced from us from the incubation period, we're still monitoring their well-being no matter where they are. But to our knowledge, we don't have a member of our student or our faculty or staff that is COVID positive. I'm going to turn to Dean Roman. I believe you're probably the best one to answer on the IMT protocols around that activity.
Right. President Mantella referred to the IMT, which stands for the Incident Management Team. This is a group that assembles when there's an emergency or some reason to respond quickly. The group meets every single day and began meeting in February. We were tracking this in other countries beginning in February. Part of the incident management team includes some public health professionals and authorities who are very, very close to the science. And I can tell you that the president's correct. We have no notifications of positive cases here on campus. There may have been, of course, students or others who've gone home, but those would have been handled by county health departments, and we've not received notification of any cases. I'm proud of a lot of things about the university, and one of which is how well our students, faculty, and staff have followed public health guidance and how quickly the incident management team has assembled. We have no cases on campus.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Some questions about the Student Support Fund, and an interesting question from a couple of parents that I think I want to pose, that they're grateful that this fund is available and are wondering both if people are able, how can they contribute? Are people still being encouraged to contribute? And for their students who may have received funds, how can they thank donors who have contributed to this fund?
What a wonderful question. And again, it just shows who Lakers are. So thank you for that. And I'll turn to Karen Loth, our VP for Development, to answer those.
Yes, I absolutely agree. What a wonderful question. And every gift counts towards helping students with this. So there is, we are accepting gifts online, and Elizabeth will put up the link there. Over 224 people have supported this. Members of the community, members of the faculty and staff, alumni. So it is really an effort that is ongoing and will be ongoing to help students for the future. So even as I said, every little bit helps, and that is being given out through financial aid. And again, Michelle Rhodes is the person to contact, that your student should contact for this. So thank you for that question.
And Michelle, could you say a few words? I've heard you talk about the impact of these funds and even small dollars, and I think the parents would enjoy hearing that.
Sure, yeah, thank you, President Mantella. So over the last few weeks in Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, we've communicated with thousands of students, and many of them have individual situations. And what we're really doing is, reviewing what they've let us know, reviewing how we can help. And the Student Support Fund that Karen Loth just referenced is something we are using to help students who maybe have lost their job and they need to pay rent off campus, and those types of funds. And some of them we're awarding, really for as little as $50. A student says, I just need gas money to get back home. It's really all I need. Several students have asked for funding. They needed one more textbook for $25 after going online. So, we're not talking large amounts of funding from our students. Our students are extremely thoughtful. They're very honest when they ask, and we want to help them with exactly what they need. And we definitely will support their individual requests. And, once again, another plug for the only way we can really know how to help them is if they reach out, and we can determine in financial aid how to best support their needs during this time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. President Mantella, and I encourage you, we have a few more minutes. If there are other questions, please put those into the Q&A box. But as a final question, unless we see another one pop up from our parents and supporters, there have been lots of questions that were submitted in the registration process about this being your first year, recognizing that it's your first year, and reflecting on the bold vision and the broader generation of ideas that have been happening since your first year. Some sympathy and empathy from our parents also, given that this has been your first year in leadership. But has your vision for the next year changed, and next year and beyond changed with the pandemic? And what does the future look like for your leadership at Grand Valley?
Thank you. I feel the future is just as bright for leading this institution as it was when I joined it on July 1st. I think many of the plans we've talked about over this year as a faculty, as a staff, about what we need to do as a community, make digital education available to our students as a choice. Be sure that the learning is high impact learning, high engagement learning, whether digital or face-to-face. New ways to integrate work and learning. You can imagine as I talk about this, or even the Laker lifetime learning commitment, being sure that we're there over a lifetime because of the ebbs and flows of our economy and the new inventions that will impact fields that we teach or train in years to come. So hopefully you can hear that all of that is as relevant or more relevant. The only thing that has changed is the stakes are higher now. It's even more important that education step up for our students, for our community, and help rebuild the state economy and the national economy. And I still feel that Grand Valley is a special place. I've seen the best of this community over the situation that we're managing. And I can tell you, having been in higher ed my whole life, it is a very, very special place and a community that responds in an incredible way, that with the care of the students first. So what better place to be than a place that keeps the cost of their education accessible, keeps the quality high, keeps the relationships deep, and keeps the care of the student front and center. So I have a glass half full mentality, and I am ready to go and raring to go on the next challenges and opportunities that come from this very, very difficult situation. Thank you very much for that question. Jesse, if we don't have any other questions, I'll be happy to make some closing remarks.
Great. So there are no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let me first invite anyone who's on the panel to make any closing remarks before I close, because you may have things on your mind. Anyone? Okay, thank you, colleagues, for being here with us this evening. First of all, our first message to you is care for yourselves. Care for yourselves as individuals, as family, as a community. What you can do for each other, do for each other. We've put out an email around a volunteer network. If you have more bandwidth, if you can, doesn't always have to be resources. It can be being a companion with an elderly person. Anything that we can do, let's show our humanity and show our care for ourselves and others. Second of all, and it's been the theme today, which is reach out to us. We are in the best position to help you if we understand what's going on with you. And we may fall short of everything you want to do, but we are going to clearly go up from where we are if we don't know. And the last thing is, don't let anything interrupt the educational journey. That is the absolute wrong move at a moment like this. Be sure that your children are finding ways to keep moving. If there are things that are impediments, let's clear them out of the way and let's move forward as a community. Thank you so much for being with us. We really enjoyed the conversation with you, and we'll enjoy it much more when we can see you face to face. Hail to thee, Grand Valley.